Hey guys, today we are talking about chapter 10, lesson 7. We're doing some problem solving with shape patterns. And right at the appearance of it, just figuring out the end of the shape pattern should not be the part that takes too much critical thinking. The rest of it, though, where it asks us some deeper questions, might be the part that really kind of tricks our brain a little bit. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm looking at page 588, and I will ask your forgiveness during this lesson here because I will be attempting to draw straight lines of patterns, and I can't imagine it's going to go that well on the iPad here. So here we go. Let's go ahead and get started. We've got our first pattern here that we're going to look at here, and it says draw what might be the next figure in the pattern. So that's our first step, and if I'm looking at all 4 of these leading up to it, it looks like in this first figure here there's just one circle. But then on the second figure I see that there are 2 rows. I see 1, 2, but I also see 2 columns of circles, 1, 2. Okay, and so then that's going to be key when we get down here to this question right here. We're going to interpret this. How can you describe this pattern? Our next one, I see 3 rows, 1, 2, 3, and then I see 3 columns. I see 1, 2, 3. Okay, and then my next, number 4 here, my next one, I see 4 rows. I see 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I see 4 columns, 1, 2, 3, 4. And I do not expect you to draw on your circles in such a way. I just simply did that to show you what I am also seeing. Okay, whoops, should not have done that. All right, so when I go to draw my next step in this pattern, I'm going to then increase by 1 row and by 1 column, as it looks like that might be what the pattern really kind of is. So I'll see if I can't get this to work out very well here. Try to draw some circles, and I'm going to try to do them in a straight line. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Wow. 6, 7, 8. Boy, that's really bad. I'm sorry, 4th graders. All right, let's try this again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's my first row. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is my second row. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is my third row. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is my 4th row, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is my 5th row. And so while that is a really shaky drawing, I can still look at it and see that I do have 5 rows and 5 columns. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So down here when we go to the solve the problem spot, and it says, you know, our question that it's asking us is how can you describe this pattern? We can say it is increasing by 1 row and 1 column each time. Okay, so let's see. You will also have to excuse my handwriting here. So it increases by 1 row and 1 column each time. All right, so now we look down here at number 1. It says to use the figures, to write a number pattern and then describe the pattern in the numbers. So if we look at this and then we look back up here at our figure, we simply can just write the number of the circles that we see in each one of those figures. So figure 1 would just simply be 1. Figure 2 would be there are 4 circles, so we would write 4. Figure 3 has 9 circles, we write 9. Figure 4 has 16 circles, And then figure 5 has 25 circles. And then it asks us to describe the pattern in the numbers. And if you look at it and you think back to like multiplication or multiplication kinds of charts, you would notice if we have 3 by 3, that would be 9, right? We have 2 by 2, we have 1 by 1, we have 4 by 4, and we have 5 by 5. So I can find that the pattern in this to find the next number would be to multiply that number by itself to get the amount of circles there are in that spot. So this would be 1 times 1, 2 times 2, 3 times 3, 4 times 4, and 5 times 5. And you may be thinking, gosh, you're really stretching this lesson here, you know, but it goes down to right here where it asks us on number 2, might the 10th number be in your pattern B? And knowing that process here of how we can figure out the numbers in the pattern, the 1, 4, 9, 16, and 25 without looking up at the dots, saves us a lot of time. We could go through just like we did before up at the very top and draw each one of those shapes all the way up until the 10th spot. However, I know that if it's increasing by 1 row and 1 column each time, then in the 10th spot, I would have a 10 by 10 figure with 10 rows and 10 columns of circles. And so all I would have to do is 10 times 10, and that would give me 100. So 100 would be my 10th number in my pattern. And I explained it verbally there, but this 10 times 10 right there is also valuable as an explanation. Next, I want to move us over here to page 589. And we've got a pattern with blocks. And we look at these 4 shapes that are given to us, and we're asked to find out what the second shape would probably be. And if I look at these 4 shapes that are given and our missing spot in the middle here, I'm looking at the amount of sides each one of my shapes has. I'm noticing that each one has a different amount of sides. It's not size, excuse me, sides. And so as I look at each one of them, I'm starting to catch on to something here. I'm starting to see that each one has more sides as we move down the line. And so if I were to count them, our first one has 3 sides. We're missing our second. Our third one has 5. Our fourth one has 6. And our fifth one has 7. So that would tell me that our second shape in our pattern should have 4 sides. Okay, so the missing shape would be probably a square, could be a rectangle, any kind of quadrilateral. And so let's go ahead and write quadrilateral. Okay, so then it says next, describe Marisol's pattern. Well, we kind of already talked about this. Our first one has 3. Our second one, we chose that it should be a shape that has 4 sides. And then our third one has 5, then 6, then 7. So Marisol's pattern is the shapes increase by 1 side. All right, so then it says to draw the missing shape. And it looks like all these shapes have kind of equal sized sides. So I'm going to just draw, to the best of my ability, a square right there in that spot. Which I will say that turned out better than I thought it was going to. Anyways, let's go ahead and move down here to number 2. It says use the shapes to write a number pattern, then describe the pattern in the numbers. Okay, so I am not going to start with number 1. I'm going to actually start with 3 because our first shape has 3 sides. So we're going with the number of sides. So I'm going 3, then 4, then 5, then 6, then 7. And it says to then describe the pattern in the numbers. What is our rule is basically what it's asking us. And simply, we're increasing by 1. And so each time. And so we would just say add 1. Nice and simple. Okay. And that is just about all there is to that. Our next one there asks us to write an expression to describe the number of sides the 6th shape has in Marisol's pattern. So you would have 6. Excuse me, I kind of messed that one up right there simply because the number 6 was on my brain. All right, the 6th shape, which would be our next shape. Okay, our 5th shape has 7 sides. So I'm just simply going to write 7, and I'm adding 1 plus 1. And that's all we really need to do there. Okay, so your homework is just going to be that following page there. You just need to do the front numbers 2. And then number 3 could be extra credit. But since there is only one problem on the front for today, I really do want you to complete numbers 1 and 2 on the back side of your homework as well. And then we will be done with chapter 10. Let me know if you have any questions. Have a good day.